السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. ظلت قضية الجاليات المسلمة في اليونان لعقود مرتبطة بالسياسة الخارجية للبلاد، وتحديدا بالتقلبات في العلاقات التركية اليونانية، لكن التغيرات السياسية في البلدين قد تغير هذه الصورة. واقع الجاليات المسلمة في المجتمع اليوناني اليوم من الداخل. معكم زينب صفار، تابعونا. لعل أثينا عاصمة الدولة الإغريقية هي العاصمة الأوروبية الوحيدة التي لا مسجد فيها حتى اليوم، على الرغم من التقديرات التي تشير إلى وجود نحو 300 ألف مسلم يوناني في أثينا من بين مليون مسلم في اليونان غالبيتهم من الألبان. فالمسلمون في أثينا لم يتوقفوا عن المطالبة بحقهم في أن يكون لهم مسجد في العاصمة اليونانية، إلا أن جهودهم ومساعيهم كانت تقابل دوما برفض شديد من قبل المجموعات اليمينية المتنامية في الدوائر المعنية، ما يدفعهم إلى ممارسة شعائرهم وصلواتهم في الأقبية حيث لا نوافذ ولا تهوئة ولا نور. وصل الإسلام إلى اليونان في وقت مبكر إبان الصراع بين الدول الإسلامية ودولة الروم، غير أن الوصول الفعلي للإسلام بدأ مع سيطرة الأتراك العثمانيين والدولة البيزنطية ومعها التحالف الصربي البلغاري، وخضع اليونانيون لحكم الأتراك قرونا عدة، وهاجر إليه العديد من الأتراك والبلغار والمسلمين، واعتنق بعض اليونانيين الإسلام. وفي القرن الثالث عشر الهجري تدخلت الدول الأوروبية إلى جانب اليونان ضد تركيا، لينتج عن ذلك التدخل حروب عديدة بين الأتراك واليونانيين انتهت باستقلال اليونان، وأبرمت معاهدة لوزان بين البلدين لتبادل السكان. ونتيجة لعملية تبادل السكان هذه بين الدولتين تقلص عدد المسلمين في اليونان. البروفيسور سورتيرس روسوس رئيس معهد المتوسط والشرق الاوسط والدراسات الاسلامية في اثينا يحدثنا عن المجتمع المسلم في اثينا اليوم، ويشرح طبيعة العلاقة بين اليونان وتركيا وتقلباتها وتداعيات ذلك على الداخل اليوناني، وكيف يعلل غياب النقاش في ضرورة بناء مسجد للأقلية المسلمة في اثينا حتى اليوم. Professor Sotirios Roussos, Associate Professor at the Department of Political Sciences and International Relations of the University of Peloponnese and Head of the Center for Mediterranean, Middle East and Islamic Studies. Welcome to Min al-Dakhil from the Inside.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's most honoring.
You're most welcome, sir. Well, Dr. Roussos, the issue of Muslim communities in Greece has for decades tightly connected to the countries, has been connected to the country's foreign policy, as far as they say, and most importantly to the fluctuations between the Greek-Turkish relations. Today, what is the status of this community in the wake of the recent political changes and shift in the power in both countries?
Right. First, we have to make a distinction between the Muslim community in northern Greece and Thrace, which is an old community. It dates back to the Ottoman times, and the community of a new community of Muslim immigrants that came to Greece at the end of the 1990s. They are coming from various countries, from Nigeria to Bangladesh,
Syria, Iraq,
yes, all this area,
African
and Asian and Middle Eastern and other Asian, South Asian countries, which is we have different problems and different issues to solve. The first, let's say, category, the first, let's say, group of people, which are the Muslim community in Greece, usually was the victim in many inverted commas of the Greek-Turkish relations.
Why were they
of
the
course,
victims?
their status is actually described by and provided by the Treaty of Lausanne and other treaties between Greece and Turkey and subsequent treaties, and allows for the religious freedom of these communities and for having their own status as far as the personal status issues is concerned. So also they have their own education, their own education in their schools, in the community schools, which are also subsidized by the Greek state. Now, what we have there is that many times the Greek state has seen these people as, let's say,
second-class citizens,
not
or
exactly, as an instrument of Turkey and Turkish foreign policy in Greece. And also they have sometimes used them up. I mean, they have. In a way, the behavior of the Greek state is like towards second-class citizens. On the other hand, also the Turkish governments have tried to manipulate this community,
to reciprocate,
and to manipulate the community itself for serving the purposes of the Turkish foreign policy. So. Through their consulate in Thrace, through the Turkish consulate in Thrace, and through other means. So we have what we have there. We have people that are coming from a multicultural, multilingual background. They are speaking Turkish. They are speaking, and there are some people that are feeling ethnic Turk. Some others are Pomaks, Slavic-speaking people. Some others are
it's a heterogeneous.
It's a heterogeneous, multicultural, multilingual society. So what we have from the Greek government's view is that we have to, in a way, control them, very, very closely control them, and sometimes suffocating them by this control. On the other hand, we have the Turkish government trying to Turkicize the whole people, not only the people that are feeling Turks, but also those people who are not feeling Turks. So they also try to pressurize them in order to Turkify them. So it is a ground of conflict, and the victims are the community itself, the people themselves.
How has this, Dr. Roussos, changed with the change of government in Greece, and now with the setback that the ruling party in Turkey has suffered from, which will lead consequently to the decline of Erdogan?
Syriza has a different agenda on these issues. They want to, let's say, lift this close control on the communities. Syriza has an agenda of, let's say, let all these multilingual, multicultural, let's say, communities to flourish. I'm not sure. I mean, on the other hand, also, I don't think that this setback is a very positive development, because the moment that Turkey is in a bit unstable politically in domestic issues, this instability, in a way, is being exported through the foreign policy, not only towards Greece, but also towards other neighbor countries.
Yes.
So I am feeling a bit cautious about what we will see. Erdogan has a more stable policy towards the community. This government was not as provocative as previous Turkish governments used to be, but they have the same policies of Turkification and control of the community, but they don't have we don't have such provocative actions that we used to have previously. Also, Greek governments have changed their views on the communities. They allow for more multicultural, let's say, schools, multilingual schools, more of Turkish language in the schools, and so I think that we are now at a point that we are very close to a turning point. Either we can, let's say, find a way with Turkey and actually help these people to become an integrated part of the Greek society, or we will continue this suffocating control with very, very unwelcome results. My view is that these people have to be an integral part of the Greek society, with all their richness with all their cultural, religious wealth, with all their community wealth.
How did you read the recent results of the elections in Turkey?
Well, I'll tell you. I think that there are three countries in the Middle East and in the Islamic world that influence one way or another the whole Middle East and the Muslim world: Iran, Turkey, and Egypt. With different paths. Sometimes they have taken the path of the anti-colonial leadership, like Egypt, others like Kemalism and autocratic modernization, the Islamic revolution in Iran, so in different ways. But they influence what is happening in the whole Muslim world. I think that Turkey now is at this turning point. They either, there can be a big coalition. I'm not talking about political coalition of parties, but of social coalition, of pious Muslims, of Sunni Muslims, of Alevis, of Kurds, of left-wing people who can, let's say, lead Turkey to a much better future, which has perhaps a federal system, a federal state system, and more respect for cultural, religious, and social differences.
Yes.
This is a very nice path, because this can, in a way, influence other countries like Syria, like Iraq, can be a model for these countries. The other path that Turkey can take is part of a very hard authoritarianism. The way we saw it in 1980s, perhaps, or with parliamentary cover, but still an authoritarian regime. And I'm very afraid that this second option is much more possible, has more possibilities.
Let's wait and see. We're going to stop Dr. Roussos for a short break, and then afterwards we're going to talk a bit more about the status of the Muslim communities in Greece. إذا فاصل قصير ونعود، لا تذهبوا بعيدا. في عام 1971 شهدنا أول محاولة لبناء مسجد في العاصمة اليونانية أثينا بمحاذاة الأكروبوليس، حيث لا مجتمع مسلما هناك. البروفيسور سورتيرس روسوس، رئيس مركز البحر الأبيض المتوسط والشرق الاوسط والدراسات الاسلامية في أثينا، كيف يشرح السبب الأساسي وراء هذه الخطوة؟ وماذا يقول عن مسألة بناء مسجد في أثينا وفكرة استخدام المجتمع المسلم أداة تخدم السياسات الخارجية؟ وكيف يعلل سبب استبعاد النقاش في هذه المسألة؟
Now you are touching a very sensitive chord of my career, because I have been very much involved in the institution of a mosque, of an Islamic mosque in Greece, and I'm they all know that I'm a staunch supporter of such an institution in Athens. Look, I mean, in 1970s we have a dictatorship in Greece, but the dictatorship thought that if they build a mosque in Athens, even a small mosque, they would attract more money, cash, and perhaps investments from the Gulf, especially from Saudi Arabia, and especially from Saudi Arabia and from other Muslim countries. But Saudi Arabia was the focus of this let's say initiative. Of course, the Greek dictatorship was very nationalistic and they could not go far with this project, and for various reasons they drop it, because I don't think that they could have let's say this could not match with their ideology and their way of thinking. Economic reasons were not enough for sidelining their ideology and their way of
identity,
thinking. And the political identity of junta, of the dictatorship.
Yes.
Afterwards, there were also attempts for having a mosque in Athens for the same reasons, either for attracting investments and from the Arab world, or for attracting the friendship of cultivating the friendship of the Arab states and having the Arab states and the Arab votes in various fora, including the Organization of Islamic Conference. Now, from 1990s onwards, we have new immigrants. For the first time in our history, Greece became a net immigrant country. We have people from other countries coming to our country for work, for a better future, either for asylum or generally for a better future, or for work or whatever. And we have a lot of Muslims among them. Not so many at the beginning, about 50 to 60,000, but the numbers were growing, and I think by the 2000, late 2000s, we have about 120,000 people in Athens. I'm not including.
So you have a Muslim community in Athens. We have a Muslim community.
Although
the argument was that why build a mosque and there's no Muslim community in Athens in particular, for example. This was one of the things.
Yes, I mean, there was a Muslim community.
You are trying to kowtow to the Saudis in order to win their investment by building this mosque, this masjid.
Yes, but they never did it. I mean, even there were some initiatives to do so, but they never did it. The Greek government came under pressure to build a mosque before the Olympic Games.
Yes.
You know, for reasons of for the purposes, yes, for the purposes of the Olympic Games in 2004. But again, they didn't do that. They didn't do that because the local communities were against. The church was more or less against, and also that the calculation of risk, of political risk for the government at that time and for all the governments was considered very high.
Now they say that it seems that the only way that might prompt social visibility of the Muslim communities and the formation of a public Islam in Greece will be what an observer termed as a sudden mobilization.
Yes.
What does that mean, and what would be the consequences of such
I wouldn't to tell you the truth, I wouldn't wish to see a mosque as a result of a sudden mobilization. For example, we have a desecration of the Quran, of the Holy Quran.
That has led one time
to a protest or a continuous protest. So the state has to, in a way, address these people and these protests. So they have to do. But I don't want, you know, as a Greek citizen and as an academic, I don't want to see a mosque in Athens as a result of protests.
Is there a debate now, Dr. Roussos,
well, there is
in Greek society?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there are fringes of the extreme right.
Yes.
That are still bringing the issue forth, but there are so many other issues that the mosque is not the big one. But still, I would like to say something.
Please.
I mean, there is a law which actually institutionalized a mosque in Athens. The place has been found, has been given for the mosque. The money that was I was told that what the media say are ready for this, and the people the companies that are going to build it are ready to do so. But I haven't seen it, and I can't understand why we are waiting so. I can make only speculations. And
has any legal case been raised in this sense, for example?
No, well, there are legal cases.
This is part of the Constitution you're talking about.
Yes. There are legal cases raised, but I don't think that this would stop the are enough to stop the building of the mosque. No. And on the other, there are quite an array of of arguments, from idiotic to, let's say, discussable or debatable arguments. But I don't think that there's any reason. Well, one of the reasons that they are citing, they say, well, there might be a place of extremist propaganda.
Because this is how the stereotype of the masjid have been portrayed in various Western countries.
And I said, look, if we have one mosque, a big mosque, which is completely legal, with the people, where the people can go, why an ordinary Muslim who is hardworking to feed his children, to feed his family, to take care of his family, wants to go to a mosque that is extremist? And I mean, why to be in the fringes of the society when he can be at the center of the society? And not only that, the Greek state in that way can have a dialogue with Muslim community.
True.
And I mean, socialize with this Muslim community. As if there are, I mean, preaching, if there is preaching in extremist terms, then we can dialogue with and say, well, why, and see what their problems, and see how we can deal with it. If we say to the people, no, we don't care about you, you can go to warehouses and filthy places to pray, which hurts their dignity, then it's as if we are saying to them, I don't care if you are becoming an extremist or not.
Dr. Sotirios Roussos, unfortunately time has run short. I have a lot of other questions to ask you, I'm afraid, but there is no time left. Associate Professor at the Department of Political Science and International Relations at the University of Peloponnese and head of the Center for Mediterranean, Middle East and Islamic Studies. Many thanks indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much indeed.
You're most welcome, sir. إذا لقاء جديد في الأسبوع المقبل مع ضيف جديد وقضية جديدة ودائما من الداخل. للمزيد من التواصل بريدنا theinside@almayadeen.net وصفحتنا على الفيسبوك من الداخل. من كل فريق عمل من الداخل من كل الميادين من أثينا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.